Getting into our final demo, capacity. David, are you with us?
I am. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, David. Well, let me give a quick introduction to Capacity, and then the floor is yours. So Capacity is an AI-powered support automation platform that empowers mortgage professionals with instant knowledge and automated workflows. This technology allows mortgage professionals to effortlessly tap into key systems like Ellie Mae, Encompass, and AllRegs to provide real-time, immediate access throughout the entire loan lifecycle. Your clients will benefit from superior experience from application to closing with 24/7 Tier 0 support. Capacity connects apps, mines documents, captures tacit knowledge, and automates processes all through a friendly, mobile-friendly chat interface. So remember, everybody, there's going to be a question about this demo coming up right afterwards. So pay close attention. David, tell us more.
Thank you all for having me. I'm in that coveted last spot of the day. And I didn't know about the AirPods giveaway, so I'm going to make sure to pay extra attention to what I'm saying just in case I have a chance at winning.
David, I'll warn you, we've already had one person answer their own company's question today. So we're not accepting winners from Capacity here. Let me make it clear.
All right. Well, looking forward to jumping in. Why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to share my screen here and kick right off. So as mentioned, I'm David Karandish from Capacity. So glad to be spending my Friday afternoon with you all. I look forward to walking you through what a support automation platform looks like. So a little bit of background, we started Capacity just about 3 years ago, and our mission is to help teams do their best work. We believe that there's an opportunity to take all of those tasks that you do, all the questions you answer, and automate a good chunk of that. So that's what we're going to see today. Now, Capacity is designed to integrate with whatever chat systems you have. So if you work with Microsoft Teams or Slack, or if you have an intranet page like SharePoint, you could put Capacity on your internal website, your external website, show up in a lot of different places. But I thought what we'd do is just go ahead and jump in and start to see Capacity in action and then see what it can do. So I'm going to start out with a quick demo here in Slack. For those who aren't familiar with Slack, instant messaging platform similar to Skype. I can go to Capacity and I can say hi, and it'll come back and say hello. It's generally very friendly most of the time. I can go back to Capacity and say hi, and it'll come back and say, you just said that. So it's got some conversational history. It's got some short-term memory built in. So if I went to Capacity and asked a question like, how many vacation days do I have? It is going to log into my HR system as me, connect to that system, come back and say, David, you got 2 weeks left. The basic idea, if you only get one thing from today's webinar, it's that all company intelligence should be this easy to access, this straightforward, and this simple. The future of work is not having to log into any system. It's being able to ask your question in your own language and get an instant response back. Now, we designed Capacity to be friendly for all people groups, but especially for my favorite cohort, the millennials like myself that aren't the best spellers anymore. So if I went to Capacity and I said, how many vacation days of the Z do I got? Even though I shouldn't be working for any of your organizations, if that's how poorly I spell, Capacity still understands the verbiage and can use its natural language processing to come back to me instantly with an answer. Now, in some of the previous demos you've seen today, you've seen how folks have been able to tie in and pull data directly out of key systems. We're going to walk through a couple of demos here where we're using natural language pull information directly out of systems, to push information to systems, and to be on our merry way. So I'm going to start out with a Salesforce demo. So I'm trying to connect with Jason Peach from West Community Credit Union. So I want to go to Capacity and say something like, who is the primary contact for West Community? Now, Capacity is smart enough to know that primary contact maps back to my CRM and that I happen to use Salesforce in my org. It also knows that West Community maps to West Community Credit Union, so it can do that fuzzy match. Now it's going to log in as me into Salesforce and come back to me instantly with Jason's contact info. And in fact, it's smart enough to know we actually have 2 different opportunities in Salesforce that it can match it to. Now I need to connect Jason with Jeremy on my team. So I can go back to Capacity and I could say something like, forward that to Jeremy. And now we can see that Capacity can not only I've retrieved the previous question. It knows that the that refers back to it. It knows that Jeremy maps to Jeremy Burrows on my team. And I actually went off and sent an email on my behalf. So the whole idea is we're just trying to make it simple and easy and frictionless to access information within your org. Now, not only can Capacity retrieve information, but it can also take actions on my behalf as well. So I could say something like schedule 15 minutes to meet with Cindy and Chris. And now Capacity is going to go look at my calendar, it'll look at Cindy's calendar, it'll look at Chris's calendar. It's smart enough to know that in our org, we actually have multiple Chris's, so it can disambiguate. I'll select Chris Dewar. And now it'll go off and it's going to find the first 5 times when all of us can meet, looking at our meeting availability windows, our time zones, etc. So I'll say, let's meet on Monday at noon. And it will now go into either our Google Calendar or our Outlook calendars and go add that directly to our schedule. And again, it's just simple, it's straightforward, it's frictionless. And just to show you this is all happening in real time, I'll click on this meeting invite. You'll see my very busy calendar load up. You'll see the meeting pop up. I'm going to go ahead and delete this calendar invite because Cindy and Chris are the victims of my calendar scheduling demos, but you get the basic idea. Any of your major apps, we want to put a natural language layer on top of it. Now, so far, I've shown some horizontal apps, your HR system, your calendaring, etc., your Salesforce CRM. Let's talk about some vertical specific apps. So we've integrated with Ellie Mae's and Compass. So I could go to Capacity and say something like, show the Johnson loan. And now Capacity will go in, log into Encompass, pull all of the relevant data on that loan, the rate lock, the estimated closing date, etc. Or I could ask a question like, what are USDA income limits? And now Capacity will go into your regs, come back to you instantly with links to those particular sections. Now, so far we've demonstrated Capacity running in Slack. Capacity can also run on your customer-facing website. So this is West Community Credit Union. You can go to this website directly in your browser and check this out. Also works on mobile as well. In here, you'll see that we've matched to West Community's colors and branding. They've named their Capacity bot Jane. You can see some preview questions here. So I could go ask a question like, I want to find an ATM. And as I'm typing, you'll see that Capacity auto-completes so it can direct you toward the questions that it knows how to answer. And again, we're just trying to make this simple, straightforward, frictionless. When I click there, it takes me directly to the ATM finder. Now, I want to spend time on the actual console of what's happening behind the scenes. How do we think through managing the knowledge? So this is Capacity's knowledge base. We can search for knowledge at the top. We can see new questions that have come in. We can see questions that are expiring. I can go see all of my different tree of knowledge over here on the left. So I could say, go into my, who am I going to pick on today? I'll pick on HR. And go into HR FAQs. I can now see all of the questions related to that topic. I can click on that particular question, see the variance of the question, the responses. I can edit the response right here. Again, it's just simple, straightforward, frictionless. Now, sometimes you'll have a question that just can't be answered quickly in a text box. Chat window is going to be too much for it. So in that case, we can actually take you to the exact section of the document where that information lives. Something we haven't seen anywhere else on Box, on SharePoint, on Microsoft OneDrive, you name it. So here I'm going to pull up Capacity and I'm going to start asking a question. I'll ask this one into my employee handbook. And you'll see in addition to matching to the questions themselves, we can actually match you to that paragraph within the document we're looking for. Now this document in this case is a 44-pager. Instead of having to rifle through it and spend the next 20 minutes trying to find that particular section, it took me directly to the page I'm looking for. Think about this in terms of your regs. Think about this in terms of your overlays. Think about this in terms of any of your guidelines, your policies, and your procedures. Capacity can help you out. Now, I want to stop for a minute and talk about a dirty little secret that nobody really likes to talk about in this industry. Everybody likes to talk about how great their AI is and how amazing their technology works and how everything is going to be automated. And we do too. But the reality is that A company like ours, we can answer today about 84% of your questions instantly via our chat interface. What happens to the other 16%? How do we work through what happens when the bot doesn't know the answer? Well, I'm glad you asked. So if I go to Capacity and I ask a question like, are we licensed in Missouri? It's going to go look at our apps. It's going to go look at our documents. It's going to go look at the knowledge base itself and try to come back to me instantly with an answer. Now, if it has an answer, it'll tell me. If it doesn't, it'll say, I'm going to go check your documents and see if we can find a document that matches. Now, it turns out in this case, we don't actually have a matching document. So I'm going to go ahead and file a ticket. And what this is going to do is it's going to triage where this question should go and go create a ticket in the help desk. So I could make this a sales ticket, an HR ticket, a product ticket. I'll go select other. If there's a live chat agent available, I could actually speak with a live chat agent. We don't have time for that today. So we're going to go ahead and just file a ticket. And now what ends up happening is we have now created that ticket in Capacity's help desk. And now if I am the support person, think of your underwriting help desk as an example. I would get a proactive message back saying, oh, we just had a new inbound inquiry come in. So I can click on that, go directly into the Capacity help desk. And the beauty of the Capacity help desk is that we're just designing this whole thing to make it really easy to answer questions. So I'll go in, look at my particular ticket. We can see all the information we've collected. We can have it automatically assigned to me. I am now going to flip this over into in progress. And now that question that, again, normally would have been a phone call or an email to go manage, now I can go in, map this to a new question and say, we are licensed in Missouri. Save this to a dialogue, put this in my AI software glossary. I hit save to knowledge base. And next thing you know, we've taught that information to Capacity. It's part of the knowledge base going forward. So instead of you having to answer that same question over and over again, it is now in Capacity itself. So you can see that here in the knowledge base. And if I went and I asked that question again, are we licensed in Missouri? Instead of this going off to go create a ticket, we've now taught that answer to Capacity and it comes back instantly. Now, the last thing I want to show is I want to show you how we are automating your workflows, what we're doing to take those processes you do over and over again and make them scale. So this is a screenshot of our workflows product. We're releasing this later this summer. You can see we've got 3 different workflows here. I'm going to click on the loan origination workflow. In this workflow, we've got a bunch of different steps and stages. And the way we've designed this is you can actually embed a workflow within another workflow. Think of it like those, kind of like those Russian dolls, where you got a workflow and a workflow and another workflow. So you had somebody that manages loan creation specifically, they can manage this part of the workflow where someone else manages the rest of the loan origination itself. Now I'm going to add a new task here. This task is going to get pulled in for sending out closing disclosure information. And we're going to assign this to Isabel on my team. When I hit create, it's now part of my workflow. I turn that workflow on, go back to my main screen, and next thing you know, we now have somebody applying to that workflow, applying to that loan for that loan origination, and we can see how many steps and stages they've gone through. Now, the way we're building out our workflows product is that you can see not only where you're at, but how long each task takes from a compliance standpoint, how long the average takes for that particular task, so you can see where the bottlenecks are, how long it took you from the beginning of the workflow to get there. Now I can go click view ticket details, see all those tickets assigned to Isabel. We're going to send that closing disclosure, go back and be on our merry way. Now, so far, all of these tasks are either sub workflows or assigned to individuals. Well, our goal is to try to automate as much of your mortgage process as possible. So instead of assigning this to Isabel, we're going to click on it and assign it directly to the Capacity bot. And we can do this through our app integrations. We've got over 50 different out-of-the-box integrations. But in addition to that, we've got a developer platform where you can hook up just about any application as long as it has an API. Now I plug in my information that I collected earlier in the workflow. I hit create. And the next thing you know, we've assigned that task not to a person, but to the Capacity bot. Fast forward, next thing you know, your entire workflow is being assigned to capacity with a few human tasks placed in there. So just to recap, we're here to help you automate your support. These are your regs, these are your underwriting decisions, this is your onboarding, your training, your lead gen on your website, your back-end processes, your loan modification, you name it. We're here to help you make a better workplace and help your teams do its best work. So with that, I'm going to open up for questions.
Loved the energy throughout the entire thing. Couldn't think of a better energetic way to end this. So going to jump in some of the questions real.
Sure thing. So I saw a question come in from Matthew. Does it work with Microsoft Teams? Yes. So we can plug capacity into Slack, Microsoft Teams, Symphony, Ring Central. We can put capacity on a SharePoint web page internally. We can put capacity on your customer-facing website. And in fact, you can have multiple capacity bots running at the same time. You can have one knowledge base that is partitioned for information externally for your borrowers and then internally for your team.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in there, David. Realize I am the person on mute. I'm going to jump back into a few of those questions, and part of you already answered this one, but did you already answer, can capacity pull data real time from internal and external sources and come back with an answer?
Absolutely. So as long as it has an API, we can pull information from it. I didn't have time to demo it today. We also recently launched our Live DB product, where we can sit capacity in front of your internal database. And the beauty of it is you don't need to move your data. Let your data sit where it lives. You connect it to capacity, and the next thing you know, you can start asking questions directly on the queries of the information that you need.
Yeah, and jumping to the next one, is tribal knowledge still a part of capacity?
Oh, absolutely. So you can store information in Capacity's knowledge base, whether that information comes from an app, whether that information comes from a document, or whether that information comes from the knowledge of your team. And so we really view it as those being the three main central areas where your company knowledge lives. It's either in an app, it's either in a document, or it's either in your team set.
Now I'll ask one more quick one. And can this same ticketing process work with something like, and I might be pronouncing this wrong, but Jira?
With Jira, yeah. So we have an integration with Jira. So you can use Capacity to create Jira tickets. And then over time, you could actually use us to replace Jira in some places as well. And so what's really nice about our platform, the way we're trying to make this so flexible, is that we play well in the sandbox with other providers in and around the space. We integrate with Salesforce, we integrate with Office 365, we integrate with Jira, we integrate with Encompass. But over time, there are areas where Capacity can actually take over some of that spend that you're already using in other places.
Well, I definitely love that energy. I feel like our chat has been just as energetic, so I'll go ahead and pass it back off to Clayton.